5 semen retention secrets from Taoism that changed my life forever. Because when I got started on this journey, I thought that all I needed to do was focus on my testosterone levels, right? I elevated my level from 564 to 902 nanograms per deciliter. I was feeling amazing. I was looking good. I was feeling strong. I felt dominant. I felt confident. I moved to Colombia. I was like, yo, I'm just going to get back into the dating scene and like just destroy everyone. I'm going to be so alpha. I'm going to be so in control, right? But when it got to the point of actually getting intimate with a girl, I could not even last longer than 5 minutes, right? I felt embarrassed. I felt like a failure as a man. I felt like I couldn't perform. I'm like, what's the point of this whole journey of increasing my testosterone, of feeling more masculine, of looking more strong, of getting all ripped and getting all shredded and shaving my chest at the time, right? Don't do that anymore. But then is what opened my journey into studying Taoism, into studying these ancient Eastern traditions, which really looked at the essence of sexuality as a bridge towards deeper levels of spirituality, right? Not as something to gratify our own ego, not something to get that selfish desire so I can look cool in front of my friends, right? Because that was the point I went down. It wasn't working for me. And I was driven by the selfish desire. I was driven by feeling like I was not enough. I was driven by feeling like I needed to get validation from these girls to feel like I was enough, right? But that's just a void that gets deeper and deeper. And when I actually went down the route of studying Taoism, of studying Tantra, of studying the works of Mantak Chia, who was a present-day Taoist master as well, that is when I realized that there's so much more to this aspect of the experience, and it's a way deeper experience than we have been taught in modern society, right? Modern society, it brainwashes us through marketing messages. It brainwashes us through feeling like we're not enough, like we need this next thing to feel like we're sexy. But then at the point of actually talking about sexuality, what is the perception that we have? That becomes taboo, that becomes looked down upon. That is something that we don't talk about, right? So like I said, in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you 5 secrets. First and foremost, I'm going to be sharing with you why these were actually secrets in the ancient traditions of ancient China, and why they're being shared with the likes of Master Mantak Chia, present-day Taoist master, and why it is so important for us to truly understand these secrets, right? I'll be going over the battle of the sexes, why there is such an issue between this masculine and feminine polarity, right? Why we have feminism on one side, then we have the red pill movement on the other side. Why is there a conflict? And how Taoism and the practice of sexual kung fu can actually resolve this, right? I'll be going over the truth about sexual energy, why it is such an essential force in our lives to really reach those higher levels of consciousness and become and experience who we really are. I'll be talking about the goal of Taoism, right? What is the end goal, so we can begin with the end in mind. And then towards the end of this video, I'm going to be sharing with you the 3 treasures of Taoism, which have been taught that if you can cultivate these energies to the highest point, then we can reach that point which we term as enlightenment. Okay, I'll be sharing with you what my views on enlightenment are as well. Okay, so first and foremost, why were these secrets? Well, in the ancient traditions, it was like, there was a lot of cultures, there was like small kingdoms around, and it was thought that if these common folk would learn these secrets of sexual transformation, of actually using the sexual energy to become more powerful versions of themselves, then there was the issue of like some villager going and learning these secrets and then taking over the village and actually exerting that power over them, right? That is what they say. That's what Master Mantak Chia talks about as well. But he also talks about how in our modern day, the conception of sexuality is so misconstrued, it's so demented, you can say, it's so perverted to the point where it's now so important more than ever before for us to truly experience what role sexuality has in our lives, right? And this is because it all arises from the battle of the sexes, okay? In the Taoist texts, they talk about how men are sexually weaker than women. And this is really at the root cause behind all conflict that arises in the battle of the sexes, right? Think about it. Women can sexually receive her partner for as long as she desires, right? But a man can only last as long as he can keep his erection, which is usually not very long if you're not trained in this, right? And this basically creates this inferiority complex in the man, which leads him to then express his inferiority complex in different ways, develop a negative relationship with women, might get addicted to porn, go down these paths of destructive habits because he is unaware of actually tapping into his full sexual power and essence as a man, right? And that is really the goal of Taoism, to really explain the role of sexuality in our lives, how a man can actually develop the capacity to keep his erection for as long as he wants, so that we can shift from this perspective of it being some kind of performance, being some kind of, method of you, whether you live up to a certain standard. And this eagle is calling me right now. I'm just going to go talk to him in a bit. But shifting from that into actually learning the practice of sustaining that erection, developing your sexual muscles, right? Leave a comment below. I can make another entire video on what exercises the ancient Taoists recommend as well. So leave a comment letting me know about that. But it's about how we can actually spend the time with the skillful practice, which is sexual kung fu, to develop the stamina, to develop the idea of what sexuality plays in our life, what role it plays in our life, and how we can use it to harmonize the masculine and feminine polarities within us, right? They say that the yin essence of a woman, it's like it can last longer than the yang essence of a man, which is like, so the yin essence is like the water, the yang essence is like the fire, and the water takes out the fire. And that is because the man is untrained in this practice of actually being able to retain his semen, to retain his erection, and carry on with the practice of sexual kung fu. Okay, so of course this battle of sexes is put to the end once you can learn and master these practices of semen retention, on how you can actually develop the ability to sustain your erection for as long as you want without actually losing it, right? So this is like the essence of semen retention, because so many guys get confused between nofap and semen retention. Nofap is like you don't do anything, there's no porn, no masturbation, no orgasm. But semen retention is about separating orgasm from ejaculation, so that you can sustain your erection for as long as you want, and actually move and shift from this perception of it trying to be some type of performance, trying to be some type of meeting up with a standard, into actually what pleasure you can create for yourself and for your partner as well. And that is when we put an end to the battle of the sexes, because we are actually in control of our own sexual power. Okay, so what is the goal of Taoism? Well, the goal of Taoism is to live in harmony with the Tao. Okay, now as Lao Tzu puts it in Tao Te Ching, he says that the Tao cannot be named, no tongue can grab it, it cannot be pointed at, it cannot be, like, if you can talk about the Tao, that is not the eternal Tao, right? They say that the finger pointing at the moon is not the moon, right? Don't mistake the finger for the moon. Yes, the finger is needed for us to point us in the right direction, right? When you mistake the finger for the moon, you get lost in translation, because you think that what's the arrow is not what the arrow is pointing at, right? So it's the same thing. It's like we want to live in harmony with the Tao, right? You can think living in harmony with Dharma, right? In ancient Indian traditions, you can say live in harmony with nature, as the Romans say. But it's like living in harmony with the way, right? The Tao literally means the way, the path, right? So living in harmony with the path, with the way that things are, with the way that you are here and created for, living in harmony with Dharma, with the purpose, right? With the authentic path. And that is really the goal of Taoism. And where sexual kung fu comes into it is because it is a very powerful method to really harmonize the masculine and feminine energies within us, right? You can do it with a partner, which is way more effective, but the Taoists also recommend that you should start with solo cultivation, learning how to cultivate your own sexual energies without a partner, because with a partner there are so many other factors that are involved in it as well. There's excitement, there's like might be some other baggage associated with it as well, because you have to be careful in choosing your partner as well, right? So the goal of Taoism is to live in harmony with the Tao, and the Tao is not something that the Taoists try to explain. It's something that you experience by living in harmony with nature, with the way, with the universe, whatever it is that you want to call it. Okay, now the practice of Taoism really comes down to cultivating your sexual energy, right? So sexual energy is known as Qing in the Taoist traditions, right? So Qing is a form of Qi. Now you might have heard of Qi as well. So Qi is universal life force energy, right? Now Qi has many different forms. Qi literally in Chinese means breath, right? The Taoists saw it as the breath of the universe, the life force which really flows in between all of life, right? So cultivating our Qi to the point where we can actually experience those higher levels of energy and that is when we actually function as who we really are, right? The Taoists, they never talked about any morals, they never gave any rules about how you should behave. What they said is that when you cultivate your energies to that point where they're at their highest, they're cultivated, you have that masculine feminine balance within you as well, then you will express yourself naturally in harmony with the morals. You will not need to be told what to do, what is right, what is wrong, because your energies are to the point where you can function based on what you know is right and what is wrong, rather than being caught up with these negative energies, with these lower energies, with the conditioning that holds us back, right? So chi energy you get from the air that you breathe, from the pulsation of aligning with the rising and setting of the sun, from the food that you eat, right? All of these different sources provide us with the chi energy, which is the energy that our body then uses and cultivates and really mixes with the rest of our organs to create Qing energy, right? Which is really essence. It means the essence energy, and that is your sexual energy, right? So the storehouse of your sexual energy is that of your sperm, right? Your seed. And as the Taoists talk about, they say that, you know, one ejaculation contains like hundreds of billions of sperm cells, right? A single man ejaculates like trillions of sperm cells over a lifetime. And they say that nature is not so extravagant, right? Nature would not give you the capacity to create so many amounts of sperm cells if it didn't want you to actually create that many more new humans, right? And they talk about an ejaculation that is not used for the purposes of creating a child is that of wasted sexual energy, wasted Qing energy, right? So when you can cultivate your chi energy to the point where your food is on point, you're breathing deep into your belly, right? You're in line with the rising and setting of the sun, right? All your chakras are open, right? In the Taoist traditions, they called it the Tan Tians, which are basically the energy centers within your body as well. And when they're functioning in harmony, your chi is functioning in harmony, then that chi is converted into Qing energy, right? And through the practice of sexual kung fu, we can actually channel that Qing energy. Rather than letting it out, we channel it through our energy centers in our body, mix it with the chi and the rest of that organs, and that Qing becomes transformed into Xian energy, which is spirit energy, right? And that is what the purpose of the Tao is, to really get back to the eternal essence, to channel that energy, mix it with the rest of our body, channel it up to the head, and experience that transcendent consciousness which can really take place when we become masters of the practice of sexual kung fu. Okay, so those are the three treasures of Taoism. Chi, which you get from the food, from the breath, from the pulsation, from the chakras, from how you go about everyday life, from your relationships, right? That gets transformed into Qing, which is a very potent form of the energy, because unlike food, like food has Qing, right? Certain foods have certain amounts of Qi energy, and then that Qi you eat, it takes time for it to be digested and metabolized into Qi. But Qing is way more potent because instantly it changes your physiology, instantly it changes the state of your being, and it can actually be transformed that much more faster as well. Okay, so the purpose of sexual kung fu and the three treasures of Taoism are really to cultivate our chi so that it transforms it into Qing, which is sexual energy, and then using that sexual energy to really channel it up our chakras, channel it up to our head, and really transform it into Xian energy, which is spirit energy, and get back to the essence of where we came from. Okay, so just a quick look at some semen retention secrets from Taoism, most of which I learned from Master Mantak Chia. Definitely recommend you check out some of his books as well. But this is just the first of many series of videos because this topic dives deep. There's so much more I have in store for you, so make sure that you subscribe if you haven't already, and leave a comment below letting me know what other videos you want to see from me on this topic, because I have already so many ideas about this and how I can provide some massive value for you moving forward. But leave a comment below letting me know your number one takeaway from this video as well. I hope that it has been helpful for you. Definitely has for me in clarifying these ideas and communicating them more effectively to you. But with that, I conclude this video. This has been Mo, and I'll see you soon.